Hello, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, I show coaches, mentors, and trainers how to grow their businesses and get more clients online. Now, in this episode, I want to talk to you about the best methods, models, and approaches for getting clients. People ask me this all the time. What are the best approaches that you can use? And simply put, it's about having a conversation or a connection with somebody, but those do not have to happen one-to-one. So there's different ways of having conversations and connections with people. You can totally go by phone. You could do a direct message, but there's other ways people don't always think about, such as comments on social media, right? Such as, and here's another one, pre-recorded content, okay? And anytime that we are marketing our business as coaches and mentors, we're trying to facilitate the internal dialogue and conversation. So people have two different types of conversations. They have the inner conversation that they're having with themselves. They're talking internally with themselves, and they're deciding whether they want to work with you. They're also having inner circle conversations, which is the people around them that are in their life, the people that they trust, and the people that they want to engage with. And then they also have them with you. Okay? So this is with themselves, this is with those that are closest to them, and then these are with you or your team. So these are three stages of conversations that people can have. If you make a post on social media and somebody comments and then you comment back, even just them commenting is a form of a conversation. If they watch pre-recorded content, the internal dialogue that they have by listening to it. By you listening to this right now, any thoughts or ideas that you have listening to this podcast are an internal conversation that you're having with yourself. So even though I'm monologuing, because you're another person who's on the receiving end of this listening, there is a conversation that starts to happen between us. Even though we've not necessarily conversed directly, it begins. And so this is really what we're facilitating in any form of marketing to get clients, is this type of a conversation. And so again, this could be in the form of a webinar, this could be in the form of a challenge, this could be in the form of any different kind of marketing that we end up doing, realizing that it doesn't have to look one way or the other, and actually, like, we need to stop looking at them like they're all different. Okay? What they are is they're a part of the journey that our prospect goes on. Before somebody purchases from us our coaching, okay? Let's work backwards from here. Here's Sally right here. We're going to draw Sally, okay? My little stick figure. And this is Sally when she purchases a, let's say, a $2,000 coaching program with you, okay? Here's Sally the day she was born, all right? And so somewhere along the line, from the time that she was born to here, she was a good prospect for you to talk to. Maybe, she was 5 years old right here. Got to get them young, right? No, that's a terrible time, right? You're not going to start marketing to your prospect at that point. Now, television does, media does. That's a whole other conversation about how it indoctrinates children and things like that into literally marketing funnels. Big Pharma literally markets to children through sugary cereal to get them hooked on the pharmaceutical industry. Pretty interesting, right? But we're not in that game. We're in a much more ethical game, where we're helping people who have problems. And so throughout this stage of life, we got age 15, 25, 35. Right about here, she starts deciding, I've made some decisions during this time that I'm not a big fan of, and I need to solve a problem. And so from the time she's about 35 until the age of 45, right here, this is 10 years, she's on a discovery journey. So let's zoom in right here, because we don't really need to look at the whole lifespan of her right there. But let's just look at the last 10 years, okay? Sally, in the last 10 years, right, she's 35 years old right here, okay? And then she purchases your coaching right here at the age of 45. Let's say, just for the sake of the example, her decision is that she wants to learn how to transition out of a career that she hates. Okay? But it took her 10 years of struggle, life events, changes, moments before she was ready to make a purchase over here to actually solve this problem, because she was in a dead-end job that she hated. And every time she felt like she was making progress, it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Okay? It's literally the life cycle of most people that they deal with. And so you show up with a solution to say, hey, what if instead of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, we could take 5 steps forward, and then 3 more, and then maybe 1 step back, because, that's the circle of life and reality. It happens. We all end up, things happen. They come up. Situations happen. But instead of it being 2 steps forward, 1 step back, what if it's 7 or 8? And then you actually are making more forward momentum and more progress. And she's like, okay, I'll buy that. I've been doing this model for 10 years and I'm 35 and I want to make a change. So she's going to make an investment with you of $2,000. So there is a moment in time where you end up meeting Sally. And that's right here. Okay, you end up meeting her. And maybe she's 44 years old right here. See, you could try to market to Sally everywhere up to this moment in time, but she might not have been ready for the thing that you offer. Okay? And so the first thing that we want to do when we get clients is we want to make sure that they're qualified for the thing that we're actually offering them. We want to make sure that they're actually in a position to be ready for it, that they actually desire it. Now, the second part is that when we sell to people, we have to learn to be really, really good at the ability to persuade people to take action and to get off the fence, because we help them identify that if they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, that nothing is going to change for them. And when people have a desire to do something and to make a change, they're going to do it. When they see a solution that's better than everything else that they've tried, and we can at least mitigate the risk or the fear, provide safety, provide security. A lot of people have dealt with trauma. They've dealt with issues. They're skeptical. So we have to address all of that in our marketing. And so what you do is you identify right here a form of messaging that communicates, and not merely communicates, but connects deeply at the core of why Sally wants to make a change. Okay? And so when we do this, we're able to show up in her life through a number of different avenues. Let's say social media. The algorithms will start showing up because, number one, her reticular activating system is firing and ends up noticing the stuff that we're talking about. The reticular activating system is this thing in your brain that when you're seeking out something, you end up noticing more of it. So when she's starting to look for these things, she starts to notice more of what she's looking for. And then the social media algorithms are designed, if she's engaging with content based on that, to give and feed more content similar to and like that. Okay? So based on that, what we want to identify is what amplifies the right message at the right time to the right person through our social media. And what this does is this facilitates, which is just a fancy word for helps create, start, get the mechanisms going. It's part of the machine to get things moving forward, to help her make decision 2024, not the one for the president, but the decision to work with you as a client. And then what you get to do is you get to facilitate that conversation internally with people that she knows or with you. And then what ends up happening is that when you can hit all those markers, provide safety, show, and providing safety really is one of the most number one things you can do. It really is. And show and demonstrate value. You own the result that she's going to receive. You say, okay, this is what you're going to get, and I'm going to help you get there. And you start owning that fact. And so when you can gather the right person at the right time in front of you with the right messaging to facilitate any form of a conversation, could be a social media comment, could be on a webinar, could be on a YouTube video, could be on a podcast episode. The right person with the right message at the right time who's looking for the right information will then say, that's what I want. And they will seek out to solve that problem. So what you end up doing is you end up scratching the itch they already have and pointing it out. And what ends up happening is they start to notice, oh, wow, I have an issue going on here. I have this rash that's not going away, right? I have this redness that's not working for me, and I need to solve this in my life. And then you show up, not passively, and this is where we gotta get it right, and this is where most people miss it, is they take a passive approach at this point. Well, if she wants it, she'll find me. She'll come find me, and I'm just going to give her agency and autonomy to be able to find me on her own through my socials, and hopefully, maybe she'll like me enough to ask for help. That's a romantic fairy tale idea that feels great, but in reality, it never works out that way. It doesn't. I've been doing this for 21 years. And it never works out in the fairy tale idea that how we think it would as far as that goes. And so understanding that we're not in a fairy tale means we got to go out there and be intentional to close the sale, to start connecting the dots and saying, hey, are you ready to make a change? And we start promising these outcomes and these results, and we start owning those outcomes for people. And we charge money for it. Now, if you're hesitant to charge money, you might need to address those monetary beliefs. We live in a culture today that starts demonizing capitalism, and that's terrible that it does that, because it's an incredible vehicle for making the world a better place. And so understand that as coaches and as mentors, we have a desire for impact, but we got to bring in some income, and we got to bring in some cash flow, and we got to actually start bringing in clients, okay? So the way that you do this is you figure out what is the right message at the right time to the right person that gets them to take action. Now, here's the cool thing about this. You don't have to guess. Okay, there are so many mechanisms that we can use to be able to facilitate this. You can use artificial intelligence to help you. You can go on Amazon, look at books that are written. You can look at what your competitors are using to market. You can look at what others are talking about on podcasts and YouTube and social media. And then this gives you ideas based on the responses and the outcome and the ideas that people are sharing. If you're so focused on being the number one most original idea that nobody's ever thought of before, and that's what you're trying to do, I'm not encouraging you to plagiarize anybody at all. You look at what is happening in your niche, in your market, and then what can we learn from to model into your messaging that fits what Sally wants. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's stupidity to reinvent the wheel. It really is. Okay? You don't need to, because there are literally thousands of other coaches, course creators, and mentors that have solved a lot of the wheel for you and figured out how to connect with people. And so then what you can do is you can learn what are those trigger words, what are those key words, what are those things that get the algorithm to show my content more to people? How do I show up in front of the right people? And that's exactly what I mentor people on in our Client Growth Accelerator program. I'd love for you to join us in there. So what we work with people on every single week is dialing in that messaging to get more clients, to attract the right people to them. Okay? We'd love to have you join that with us. We'd love to have you join any of our trainings that we have. Subscribe to our channel and stay connected. Because if you're a coach, if you're a course creator, if you're a mentor, teacher, trainer, and you want to know, how do I get more clients? We got the answers for you. And we can help you do that. Okay? And so if you have been trying to figure this out, you got to learn. It's not that you don't know how to talk. It's not that you don't know how to communicate. But you got to learn what is the right cadence, tone, and language to communicate with people to close the sale and to get people to make a buying decision. And so to be able to do that is that people move towards pleasure and away from pain. We understand this, right? Okay? So we end up showing people what they desire. What is the most pleasurable fantasy desire that they have that we can then move them towards. And then we point out, by the way, if you're not experiencing this, you're probably experiencing all of this struggle that you want to move away from. And people say, we can say, listen, we can eliminate all that and we can get you over here to this fantastical idea that you have. And then that attracts people to us. And then that's what closes sales. Now you might be saying, well, what if I can't deliver on those results? Well, the truth is, yes, you want to make sure that you're marketing with what you can deliver on results with. It's actually not even legal to not do that, okay? But 100% of the people that you work with are not going to get those results. Here's an example, okay? I work with clients. I have clients that I've helped build their businesses to over $20 million. I built businesses to over $10 million. Are you going to make $20 million watching this podcast? No. Are you going to make $100,000 just listening to this podcast? No. Is everybody who applies what I teach going to make $10, $20 million? No, absolutely not. But if they do apply it, it will start to move things forward for them much more effectively than I would say 99% of the other people that you listen to that are out there. I've been doing this for 21 years, and we've been very successful with it. And so understand that you're not going to please everybody. You're not going to solve everybody's problems, and that's okay. But you want to go out there and boldly and confidently present your opportunity. And present what you have to offer with people. And confidently talk as if the right people are in front of you right now. There's a really cool concept. I was listening to a book recently. It was called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Francis Scoville Shin. And it's an interesting book. It's from the 1920s. But there was a section in it that really stuck in my mind about the fact of sort of like preparing for the thing before it happens. And it's like, okay, well, fake it till you make it. That doesn't sound right. That's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about communicating in a way that effectively is going to, it assumes that you're already talking to qualified people, okay? It assumes that you're already talking to the right people as far as that goes. So here's what ends up happening when you're in your marketing and in your sales communicate in a way that assumes you're talking to the right people, is that the wrong people will make themselves known very quickly. So that's really cool, is that if you start talking and communicating as if you're talking to Sally right here where she's about ready to make a decision, and you start adjusting your language to fit into that framework, that's great. Because the ones that don't fit into that, they'll drop off and there's no harm done there, you know? The ones who it does resonate with, though, because you're talking so specifically to them, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, how did you know that I needed this? How did you know exactly what I was going through? And they're going to be like, whoa. It's like, you know, well, it's because you've literally tailored it and designed it for a very specific type of person, specific stage of their life journey, specific problem, and that's what dials in your messaging. Now, there's deeper mechanisms and things like that that we teach inside of my coaching program, but this is the foundation of dialing in all of that. Is making sure that you figure out who we talking to, what problem do they got, what do they desire, what outcome do they want, what result can we own that we're going to give them, what transformation are we going to give, and then our process facilitates building trust with them. Trust in you, trust in your product, trust in your program, and trust in the transformation and result that you can deliver. And when you can build that trust with people, and it's the right person at the right time, that like they won't say no, because it's exactly what they're looking for. It's exactly what they've been praying for. They believe you can deliver it to it, and your messaging was aligned to the right person at the right time. And then what's really cool is the algorithms on social media, and even when we run paid advertising, will start to show the offer to the right people at the right time, and that makes it really, really exciting. And that also brings the cost way, way down in our marketing. All right? So listen, if you are a coach, mentor, trainer, and you want to know how to do all this, I'd love to help you. I'd love to work with you. Make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure that you plug into the different content that we have and jump into my accelerator program. We'd love to have you. All right? We'll talk soon. Have a good one.